very fine Friday. Wow, it's looking pretty cool. Hopefully cooler than what it would look like today when Nigeria plays Rwanda a little later by 5 p.m. today. Switching gears now, we'll talk a little bit about the medical laboratory. There's something happening in Enugu State. It's the elections for the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. We have one of the aspirants here. He is the Edwin Ohaekweiro. Apparently, he's called the CEO. Good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you too.
All right. So, why are you interested in becoming the chairman of the Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria?
Thank you. I am interested because I want to put things in the right perspective and reshape the association for better results. You see, if you come to medicine, you find out that medical laboratory sciences plays a key and huge role in the healing and management of patients. And all this while, we are doing it in such a way that we have not achieved the greatest potentials of that profession. And if you have issues and you do not investigate properly and bring out the right result, you see that you have started deviating from treatment management. So medical laboratory sciences is the bedrock of whatever healing we get. You cannot have detailed treatment without proper laboratory testing. So I'm coming to reshape that practice in Enugu State to see that what we are doing aligns with the key objectives of the profession and see that Enugu State in general benefits from medical laboratory services.
Yeah, I mean, you said you want to put things in shape. Are things not in shape now?
Well, you can always make improvement. They say the greatest room on earth is the room for improvement. On whatever that is on ground, we're going to improve massively on it and see that we get the best out of our profession.
What for you is the greatest challenges that the association faces as an organization that's operating here in Enugu State?
The greatest challenge the association has faced is the issue of quackery. There are so many people who are not trained to do this, to practice this profession that are in it. And it has also affected our mortality rates, our morbidity and mortality rates. So that is one of the greatest challenges. There are other challenges in terms of getting support for medical laboratory scientists, especially those practicing in the rural areas. Because they have the expertise, but might not have the enough resources to get the right machines and also give those people in the rural areas and also those in township the good services they need. So these are the two key things that we're going to work on and see that we have zero tolerance to quackery and also see that we advocate for there to be increased funding and see that most primary health centers in Enugu State do not have medical laboratory scientists in there practicing. So we want to see that those things are actualized.
All right. How do you obtain a certification to become a medical laboratory scientist?
For you to get certified to be a medical laboratory scientist, you first of all pass your SSE, write JAMB, get admission into the university to study medical laboratory sciences. And after that, you get licensed by Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, do your 1-year internship, go for service, then you become a fully licensed medical laboratory scientist, and you have to be renewing your license annually. And before you renew your license, there are some professional courses you have to attain every year in order to do that, so that you'll be in tune with best practices.
Right. I mean, you mentioned quackery. That it then means there's a lacuna, there's a space that has been left, because if we have people who are professionals and they're doing their job and are seen to be doing their jobs, nobody will want to go to quackery. Why do you think quackery exists and continues to exist even then when we have professionals?
There are touts everywhere. There are touts everywhere that if you on your radio now, you start listening to people telling you to do this and do that and you get life eternal. There are quacks everywhere. So we want to put in safety valves to make sure we check them. And like I told you, the government I'm about to form will have zero tolerance to quackery. So those quacks, we are going to go after them. There are people who have trained, they do not have the capacity to go into rural areas and replace those quacks because most of them operate at the peripherals of Enugu. We will encourage them. We find things to ask government to do to encourage medical laboratory scientists to practice in rural areas, because those places are where you see people, quacks, touts go there as quacks and do all sorts of things and kill people in the name of the profession, but they're not medical laboratory scientists.
What's your take on traditional medical practices or practitioners? Do you think they are welcomed in your space, and are they part of quackery that you're talking about?
Well, even you have traditional birth attendants, you have traditional bone setters. We do not.
Everywhere.
Yes, they are operating on their own realm. I don't normally delve into their own practice. Okay, they do not have issues with laboratory practice.
Really?
Yes. How you don't see?
I mean, you just said turn on the radio. Like I just remembered now that some few days ago I was listening to radio, and you keep hearing things like, "Come and meet me if your leg do like this." You
place your hands here, and they will say those things are quacks. That is why I said the true traditional healers, that are those that do traditional birth attendants, do not have anything to do with laboratory testing. Okay, you don't. If you tell me that you put your hand in a computer and it will tell you everything that you're suffering since you started being ill, that is false. You come and show us how you do it. Everything has a standard operating procedure. You come and tell us, how did you do this? How did you get here? How did you get here? It must be reproducible. That result you're getting must be reproducible anywhere you go. That is why it is a scientific approach to medical healing. So the ones they do abracadabra, we are not part of it. And so if those people delve into our profession, we must have a way to stop them so that people do not get deceived. Information is key. Most people are not informed.
But has there been any time in the past where there's this collaboration or this engagement between, the medical lab scientists and these medical traditional scientists about how to deliver the goods, so that they wouldn't delve into this space?
We are coming there. Okay, like I told you, what we are focusing now is to see that we identify those practicing quackery. We isolate them. We have not completely said that the traditional people are those people practicing quacks. We come into the space. We first of all do an identification. Are there organized people that are doing this? I engage in them. When we identify them, then we follow them procedurally and see that we check their activities and get them off the space and allow the people who know what they are doing, the professionals, to practice their profession in the best interest of the state, because it is our own view that if we do the right thing, it will affect our living standard. It will affect drastically the mortality rate we're experiencing currently.
You mentioned how to obtain a license to become a medical practitioner, more like a medical scientist, going through school. Aside going through the school of going through medical laboratory sciences, is there any way out? Is there any way else? Because I've seen people who didn't do medical sciences in school, but they just go for a course, 3 months, 6 months, they go and open a laboratory, pallets, and then they start testing people, and then they give you results. I mean, these things happen and play out.
So if you have those informations, those are the informations we're looking for, because those are the quacks we are seeking for. For you to be a medical laboratory scientist, licensed to open a laboratory, you must have spent minimum of 5 years in the university studying medical laboratory sciences.
It's a must.
A must.
A standard procedure.
Yes, and after that, you go for what we call 1 year internship in a hospital that is practicing medical laboratory services. After that, you now go for your youth service. And after that, you're now licensed by Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria to practice. So it is a profession. You must have a practicing license before you can practice. Like I have mine now. I have my practicing license. That is why I'm in medical laboratory sciences and I'm licensed to practice.
Okay, so how does this play out? Because again, sometimes it has to be, the organization checking these things over and over again. But beyond that, we've seen a situation where somebody can open a laboratory, but even if they don't have a license, they can be a little bit affiliated to somebody who has a license, but they run their business, and then maybe pay some return to the person. And the person who has the license doesn't have any bearing about what's going on. It's just that whenever any problem comes, they can call the person, and the person says, yes, the place is
that is largely not obtainable in medical laboratory practice. Okay, it's largely not obtainable, because you cannot say it is 100%, because we are now the people that are actually authorized to censure all these things at the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria. We are an association. Okay. We give them the information they use to work. Okay? So if somebody, a private proprietor, wants to open a lab because he likes the business, it is his duty to get a licensed medical laboratory scientist to get in business partnership with the person. So if you're bringing your money, this guy is bringing his professional expertise. That is the way it works. You do not, hand over your professional certificate to a proprietor who just have the money and walk away. That is whack. So if you're bringing your professional acumen, because you're in a business partnership, you have also to be there to see that the work of the profession is rendered to the last letter. So if you give out your certificate and walk away, and the other guy is using your certificate to practice work, we would say no to that.
So how do you identify a quack laboratory?
If you go into a laboratory and you demand for the license of the person practicing there, that is the first step. First step? Yes.
I mean, if I'm going for a test,
for you, you just walk in. Mm-hmm. We, as a profession, as an association, when we come, we know the things we ask for. That is why eventually we are going to come out with a sign that you, on coming in, you will be able to know that, yes, these guys have actually passed through here and they have identified this place as one of the places you can go to and access medical laboratory services. But for you, that is why I say that the population is largely uninformed. Mm-hmm. So you come into a lab that is well decorated and this thing and that and playing nice videos and the rest of them, you think you're in the right place. No, we have 5-star hotels, that are operating as hospitals. They are not hospitals. So it doesn't, the hood doesn't make the monk. So what we are doing is to find out that the right people, the right manpower are there, the right machines are there, and you're producing results that are reproducible elsewhere. That is our own job.
So again, how do you identify? If you go into, because you are a professional, you can go in there and then tell with what you have said, ask for license and all that. But for me, who is down, I want to just get a result. A layman, how do I know this particular, without asking for license? Because I won't go as a layman to start asking somebody for their license.
That is what I have told you. Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria routinely, unannounced, go around the states of the Federation and check laboratory, because you have to register your lab in the State Ministry of Health and also in the Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria, which is an affiliate of Federal Ministry of Health. So these things are licensures, okay? They go around routinely. And when they are going around, you see most of these people running out. But immediately they leave, okay? They can come up again because they know they've left. We are now on the ground. It's like when after a Marine operating, you see the foot soldiers going around to make sure that all they have done are not, returned back from the background. So we go down and see that if you are not qualified to practice, we'll still call them back and say, look at that guy. He's there doing the wrong thing. Check him. Our idea is to make sure that Enugu State gets the best. As His Excellency is working to see that Enugu State is developed, we're also working hand in hand with him to see that the health sector is also safe for Enugu people.
Has there been any time in the past, maybe in the last 5 years, when we had a situation where the association went into the streets to crack down on some of these laboratories?
Of course. It happens almost annually.
Okay.
Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria will come and go around and seal laboratories. Okay? They also seal laboratories of medical laboratory scientists who have not met with the compliance standards. They seal them and they go and meet up and they are reopened. Okay? So it's not just that there are internal quacks, there are external quacks. Okay? But internal quacks, medical laboratory science has their details. They are already registered. But there are also these external ones that are nowhere to be found. Their billboards are removable. Immediately they hear the wind that there is a licensure going around, there is a regulatory body going around, they pull it in. So you can barely identify them, except those people that are on ground that know that something is happening here. We'll take them right in there and see that they do not continue to maim Enugu people for nothing.
Yeah, I mean, again, sometimes when you move into a place to get drugs, they tell you that they also, the pharmacists, for instance, they tell you that they also run lab tests. And sometimes they tell you they don't run more than 5 tests. Some run just one or two or three tests and say that's what they can do. Do you guys take into consideration the fact that some of these pharmacies run these tests that are not elaborate, and they tell you that they don't run any tests sometimes when your regulatory organization come to check?
It is wrong for a pharmacy to be running tests, lab tests.
Oh, really?
We have division of labor and specialization, okay? But you can have a situation where a laboratory is affiliated to a pharmacy.
Okay.
That's a different thing. But if a pharmacy is running tests inside the pharmacy without those affiliations, it is wrong. And we are going to, if we identify such, we take it up with the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria in Enugu State. Okay, that is wrong. We know that there are some affiliations. We can say, okay, this pharmacy is affiliated to this lab. So whenever we have a lab request, we call the lab scientist to come and pick up the samples and go to his lab and run it. That's an affiliation. But it is totally wrong for a pharmacy to, without any such affiliation or a medical laboratory scientist working there, say, I am running tests, I'm running this and that. No. If we identify that, we take it up with the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, because it's also an association that is a corporate organization. We'll take it up with them and see how to sort it out.
Well, what's your affiliation with the state government? Is it, do you have some sort of collaboration that the state government and federal government, in things like this?
Of course. Association of Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria is a known association at the national level, at the state level, at the chapter level. Okay, so we have affiliations. We have affiliation at the state Ministry of Health. We have affiliation at the Federal Ministry of Health. Council is a component of Federal Ministry of Health. So we have those affiliations, and we are working hand in hand to see that the lives of people are safe, especially when they come into the laboratory.
So now you're vying to become the chairman of this organization. I mean, you mentioned one thing earlier as what you're going to do, but are there other things that the organization is facing, specifically internally, that you think you want to correct that is still ongoing in the association?
Yes, there are. Every organization has its own internal challenges. Okay, it might not be what we'll start speaking on air, because I know there is no organization that does not have internal challenges. And what I can guarantee is that, yes, those internal challenges are there, and we're going to deploy internal mechanism to sort out those internal challenges.
What about external challenges?
The external challenges are the things I'm telling you. Okay? The external challenges are the things I'm telling you now, currently. That we are moving out to see that quacks are not killing people in our name. See that our people, that especially in the rural areas, have the right machines to work with. We're going to also see that we make advocacy that the primary health centers in the 17 local governments of Enugu State that do not have medical laboratory scientists, the medical laboratory scientists are recruited there, because they are the people that are reaching the grassroots people with medical laboratory services.
Another external issue that people would say would be the fact that people are leaving the profession and seeking greener pastures outside the country. And that normally, if you are practicing in that space, you should be earning so much. I mean, so much to take care of business, but it doesn't seem to be so in Nigeria. How are you going to address that movement of people from this medical laboratory outside the country?
You know, massively, even on the union front, we've advocated measures to see that we curb brain drain. Okay, but the economy is still a challenge, and people are seeking for greener pastures. It's not just the economy, also security and the rest of them are becoming a challenge that are motivating people to leave. But we, as an association, will continue to do what we are supposed to do.
Yeah, what are you going to do
to see that normalcy is restored? For instance, if we succeed in getting medical laboratory scientists engaged in all the primary health centers in Enugu State, at least over 70% of them, those people that could have been free to be looking for opportunities outside the country will remain and do the work, because they will be earning money. Okay? And now we're now dealing with those that feel they are not earning sufficient. Of course, nobody is earning sufficient in Nigeria, but you still have opportunities for those that wish to stay. There are people who actually wish to stay back and render these services to their own people. So those people will have opportunities to stay back and work. But if you do not provide the opportunity for them to stay back and work, then everybody will be on the other side to depart. at the slightest provocation or opportunity. So that is what we're going to do. Advocacy we are going to continue to render is to make sure that we create opportunities and plug these holes, because if we get our people to work in primary health center, any tout that is operating within that area outside the primary health center will run away. Or people will now see, because people don't drink the sand because they are thirsty. They drink the sand because they do not see an alternative.
The government is building 260 PHPs.
Yes.
Across the 260 wards of the state. How are you reacting to that?
It's a wonderful development. It's a wonderful development. All we are going to ensure is that the right manpower are there, the right equipments are there, and the right monitoring systems are there. So that you don't end up, building hospitals without equipping it, or building hospitals without staffing them with the right manpower. If you do that, then you've just wasted public funds. But if you build 260 smart health centers and put the right manpower there with the right equipment, then in no distance time, we'll see the indices improve.
Right. Again, it's all about training, because you spoke about manpower, but then we also have the smart PHPs that are coming up, just like we have the smart schools. Are the association trained enough to man these smart primary health care centers that are on the way right now? Because I know that some places that have been completed, some others that are still on the way. Are they trained enough?
Yes. The manpower we are churning out from our universities that are licensed by Medical Laboratory Science Council of Nigeria are trained enough. Okay? The only thing we do regularly is to update such trainings, because machines, everything, the dynamicity of medical laboratory practice is there. You see machines coming out today and tomorrow. You see many new things, inventions coming, and that is why before you get licensed for the next year, you must have gone for certain continuous educational training, okay, that will make you qualified to get licensed to practice for the next year. So that is, that education, that training is what is sustaining the new developments that are coming into medical laboratory practice. Okay, but basically, the basics is what you learn in the university. And there are many of our people that are equally doing postgraduate studies in the university, and they are going to be the ones that are managing these facilities, and they are going to give us good results.
All right, election in Nigeria are usually very wonderful. Let me put it that way. Sometimes people are outwitted. We'll say sometimes we blame the national election for the way and manner they manipulate elections. Are you confident in the process?
Yes, I'm very confident in the process, because ours is a professional issue. Okay, we are not secular politicians that are tribal, religious, sentimental, and the rest of them. Our own sentiment is the profession. More than 90% of medical laboratory scientists practicing in Enugu are watching out to see that they produce the higher leaders that will make them proud, that will lift the profession from where it is to where it wants to be. So this, I believe, is the key objective of my people. So I do not see tribal sentiments. I do not see religious sentiments. These are things we see in Nigerian politics. But in our own, what we see is professional sentiment, because we want our profession to work for our profession, our association to work for our profession.
So those who are going to conduct the elections, are they also part of the association?
Yeah, of course, they are part of the association.
And you don't think that there will be sentiments amongst you guys?
I have said that 90% of the sentiments are professional sentiments. They are not religious, they are not tribal.
I mean, some people can be friendlier to some other person. Some people can also send gifts across boards.
But we know that eventually the greater number of people will have their way.
Okay.
And the minority will have their say.
Chukwuemeka Edwin Ohaekweiro, I just want to wish you all the best.
Thank you
as
very
you get
much.
into this particular election. What day is it?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
All right. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.